Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Fluento, everyday English for real life. I'm Anna.
And I'm David. Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you today. How are you feeling, Anna?
I'm feeling cozy and happy, David. You know, the kind of feeling that comes with autumn leaves, warm drinks, and, yes, Thanksgiving around the corner.
Exactly. I love that time of year. It's a mix of food, family, and gratitude. And it's perfect for us to practice English naturally while talking about real life.
Absolutely. Thanksgiving is such an interesting topic. For many of our listeners who are learning English, it's not just a holiday, it's a chance to understand culture, expressions, and everyday conversation in English.
Speaking of expressions, let's start right away. One thing Americans say a lot during Thanksgiving is, I'm thankful for, or I'm grateful for. It's a beautiful way to talk about your feelings.
Yes, and for beginners, it's a simple structure. I'm thankful for my family, or I'm grateful for my friends. You can use it every day, not just on Thanksgiving.
That reminds me of last year. I was at my friend's house, and everyone went around the table saying what they were thankful for. One of the kids said, I'm thankful for my dog because he makes me laugh. I thought that was adorable, and it's a perfect example of how language and emotions connect.
That's so sweet. And notice the sentence, because he makes me laugh. That's a causal connector. Because, which is very common in English to explain reasons. Beginners can practice it like this. I'm thankful for English because it helps me communicate with friends.
Exactly. And speaking of laughter, humor is a big part of Thanksgiving too. People often tell funny stories about family gatherings. Have you ever experienced that, Anna?
Oh, many times. I remember one year my uncle tried to carve the turkey, and somehow the turkey ended up sliding off the table. Everyone laughed so hard. That's the kind of story you can share in English to practice past tense. Last year, my uncle tried to carve the turkey, but it fell off the table.
Perfect example. And notice how you used tried to. That's a common structure when you talk about attempting something. Beginners can practice, I tried to cook dinner, but I burned it. It's realistic, relatable, and funny. All great ways to learn language naturally.
Exactly. Speaking of natural language, another thing Americans often do during Thanksgiving is comment on the food. You'll hear phrases like, this tastes amazing, or can I have some more? These are very useful in everyday English, especially if you're invited to someone's house.
And small talk around food is huge. People might say, do you like cranberry sauce? Or, I made this pumpkin pie from scratch. For beginners, notice the structure. I made this from scratch. That means you made it completely yourself, not bought from the store.
Yes, it's a very useful phrase, and it also shows pride in your work. You can say it about anything you've created. I made this painting from scratch, or I wrote this essay from scratch.
You know, Anna, speaking of pride, Thanksgiving is really about reflecting on what we appreciate. And I think that's a great way to motivate our listeners. Even if you're learning English, you can express gratitude. Simple sentences work. I'm thankful for my teacher. Or, I'm grateful for my English practice.
Absolutely. And let's add a little vocabulary here. Words like gratitude, thankful, appreciate, blessing. They all come up in conversations about Thanksgiving. For beginners, you don't need all the fancy words, but it's nice to recognize them when you hear them.
True. And here's a little cultural insight. Many Americans watch football on Thanksgiving. It's almost a tradition. You can use that as a conversation starter, like, "Did you watch the football game?" Or, "Who's your favorite team?" Even if you don't like football, it's a way to connect.
That's so interesting. Sports, food, stories, they all become learning opportunities. And we can practice expressions like, "It's my favorite holiday because," or "I love Thanksgiving because."
Exactly. And here's a fun idiom, stuffed like a turkey. It means you ate a lot. After Thanksgiving dinner, people might say, "I'm stuffed." Beginners can use it with other foods too. "I'm stuffed after pizza."
Haha, yes. And that's also a chance to practice pronunciation. Stuffed. The FF is strong and the ED is soft. I'm stuffed. Easy to say and very American.
That reminds me, Anna, about another cultural tradition, sharing stories of past Thanksgivings. Families often say, "Do you remember the year when?" Or, "That reminds me of."
Perfect for storytelling practice. Beginners can try it like this. "Do you remember the time we went to the beach?" It's simple and it encourages conversation.
Exactly. And stories help language stick. You remember vocabulary better when it's part of a story. For example, turkey, stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, they all come alive in a story about the table.
Speaking of the table, David, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Oh, that's tough. I'd say pumpkin pie. There's something magical about the creamy texture and the spices, cinnamon, nutmeg. You know that warm aroma?
Absolutely. And pumpkin pie is a great cultural note. Many Americans don't eat it any other time of the year. You can say, pumpkin pie is a seasonal dessert. That's a good vocabulary word, seasonal.
Yes. And if you want to express excitement, you can say, "I can't wait to eat pumpkin pie." Notice the structure, "I can't wait to." It's very common in spoken English. Beginners can use it for anything. "I can't wait to watch the new movie." Or, "I can't wait to meet my friend."
Exactly. And speaking of excitement, Thanksgiving is also about emotions. People often say, "I feel blessed," or "I'm so happy to be here." That's emotional English.
Yes, and noticing emotional words is key to sounding natural. Words like joyful, blessed, grateful, happy, thankful, all very useful in everyday conversation. And you can combine them with expressions of time. "I feel happy this morning," or "I was grateful last year."
That's a good point. And let's also practice linking words for storytelling. Then, after that, finally. For example, first we cooked the turkey, then we prepared the sides, and finally we ate together. Simple, clear, and very practical.
You know, Anna, that makes me think of my first Thanksgiving in the U.S. I was nervous because I didn't know anyone. But I tried to speak English, say thank you, ask about the food, and everyone was so welcoming. It was a learning experience and very emotional.
That's a wonderful story, David, and it's a perfect example of how language connects people. Even if your English isn't perfect, being polite and showing interest goes a long way. Beginners should remember, communication is more important than perfection.
Absolutely. And that's one of the most important takeaways for our listeners. Don't be afraid to share your story in English. Even simple sentences carry meaning and emotion.
Exactly. And you can practice with friends, family, or even in a journal. Write sentences like, "I'm thankful for my friend. We had fun together today." Simple, but very effective.
Speaking of practicing, Anna, let's do a mini role play. Imagine I'm a host at a Thanksgiving dinner, and you are a guest.
Okay.
"Hi, Anna. Welcome to my house. How are you?"
Hi, David. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Everything looks amazing.
"Thank you. Can I offer you some turkey?
Yes, please. It looks delicious. I can't wait to try it.
Here you go. Would you like some stuffing and gravy too?
Yes, thank you. I'm stuffed already just looking at it. Haha.
Perfect. That was natural conversation, full of expressions and vocabulary you'll hear at any Thanksgiving. Beginners can practice it slowly and then repeat with a friend.
Exactly. And don't forget, even a short conversation like that teaches greetings, expressing feelings, offering food, and polite responses, all very practical for real life.
Yes. And before we wrap up, Anna, let's leave our listeners with a motivational thought.
I'd love that. Learning English, like Thanksgiving, is about connection. Share your story, express gratitude, laugh at small mistakes, and enjoy the experience. Every word you speak brings you closer to fluency.
Beautifully said, Anna. And remember, listeners, next time you have a meal, a gathering, or even a small chat in English, try using what we discussed today. Expressions of gratitude, storytelling, and simple emotional words. Your English will grow naturally, and you'll feel more confident.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope your Thanksgiving or any moment of gratitude brings warmth, joy, and new opportunities to practice English.
Absolutely. Stay curious, stay kind, and most importantly, keep speaking English every day.
See you next time on Fluento, Everyday English for Real Life.
Bye, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.